Hello, everyone. Really excited to be here and give you a 10-minute rundown of how we might approach composing with a whole class. I've tried to give you something that is applicable from Key Stage 1 right the way up to, well, any age really, but by using these three simple musical devices, we can compose with a group of children who have no prior musical experience in a way that is straightforward for the individual, but that produces fantastic results when all of the elements are combined. So the three things I'd like to really quickly introduce you to are rhythmic ostinato patterns, drones, and the pentatonic scale. Starting with the ostinato. So this is a 4x4 rhythm grid. Really helpful way of composing rhythm without the need for staff notation. It's as simple as putting a cross or filling in some of the boxes and then reading them across as you would a book. But for each square, you're counting one beat. So the rhythm grid that I've filled in here gives you the following rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We can add pitch to those if we want to, and this is where the pentatonic scale comes in. A pentatonic, by the way, is a 5-note scale. I've selected for the composition I'm talking you through today the notes A, C, D, E, and G. And to make things even simpler, because I've got these tuned percussion instruments, I can actually take out the notes I don't need. So we can compose using only the notes of that pentatonic scale. Without any danger of hitting a wrong note. Finally, then, we're going to underpin that with a drone. A drone is just a repeating or sustained note underneath a piece of music. We're using the drone notes A and E. Drone notes are usually a fifth apart, so A, B, C, D, E. And we're going to sustain those underneath everything else that we play. So those are our three elements. We've got our drone, we've got our ostinato patterns, and we've got our pentatonic scale that's going to keep all of those elements of the composition blending nicely harmonically. So this is my simulation of a whole class composition being built up. I'm going to jump in at the point where we've managed to get 4 rhythms simultaneous. And that can take a little bit of time to really focus on the timekeeping. But once you've got pupils having composed their rhythms, rehearsed them in small groups, then we're ready to start putting it all together. So this is where we might have reached by that point. So there's 3, now 4 patterns, all composed using that 4x4 rhythm grid, which means we're now ready to introduce that repeating drone, which is on its way now. So we'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll cue in our next musician. Now we've introduced the harmonic underpinning of our composition. At the moment, that's just repeating every 4 beats. Drone, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. We're constantly going round to those other musicians as well, and we're making sure that they're keeping things in time. But we can do more with that drone than just repeat the 2 notes every bar. We could alternate the drone notes, which is what you're hearing now. And now we're ready to add some pitch to our ostinato patterns. This is the first melodic ostinato. Only 2 pitches here. So, ba-da-da. Really simple. But once we start introducing more of those simple patterns, we start to build up a texture which has its own melodic line over it. Again, in our position as the teacher, we're constantly circulating. We're making sure that everyone's staying in time. If possible, we've got 2 pupils on a part, so we've got one to help the other if they fall out of time. And really, there is no limit to how many parts you could layer on top of each other. At this point, you might start experimenting with dynamics, working out if some parts need to be louder, some parts need to be softer. You might start practicing taking some parts in and putting other parts out of the composition. After a while, though, you'll notice that drone, that static drone, does become a little monotonous, but we can do something about that if we listen carefully. Really big shift there. It sounds like we've turned a corner in our composition. All we've done is we've taken the drone players and we've moved them from their first drone, A and E, to their second drone, C and G. Again, a fifth apart, C, D, E, F, G. And we're alternating now between those 2 drones. There's my C and G. And then back, 2, 3, 4, A and E. And we'll be doing this the whole time, counting those parts in, queuing up the changes. What I've done now is I've changed the drone pattern, so we've got a count of 8 and then a change to the other drone. The other parts, by the way, are still on exactly the same ostinati. We haven't changed anything but the drone. So one of the questions I usually get is, what happens if you've got a really musical pupil in your class? So I'm imagining I've got a flute player in the room who's ready for a challenge. And what we're listening to is a solo that they could potentially have composed over the top of that texture. Okay, I've taken the class down now. Simple hand gestures to control dynamics, so down in tempo. Then we can rise up, bring the tempo back, stop it at the level we want it to be at, so we can explore all of those musical changes by controlling the individual elements of the music as we go. And now what I've started to do is just to take out players. Usually I use a hand gesture a bit like this, just off you come. So I might approach the next group and just take them out. And then I could bring everyone back in together. And we can explore the way that different parts sound in isolation, in small groups, and think about the shape of our composition from its beginning to its end. Do we want it to be like a mountain rising and then falling? Do we want it to be climbing up and up and up to a huge climax? We can have those conversations in the classroom about how we shape our composition. So that's a little flavour of what you might be able to achieve with just drones, simple ostinato patterns with or without pitch, and selecting from only a set of 5 pitches a pentatonic scale. Once you've got those basics embedded, then you can go in any direction to explore dynamics, tempo changes, different instrumentation, and start making choices based on the purpose and the audience for your music. It really is fantastic when a class stop at the end of a composition and realise we did that, we made that. We started with nothing and we've created a piece of music together. It really is brilliant, and I really hope that you give it a try. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Bye.